0864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck. Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound, that's it in! 1 point more to go!
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field, back toward the wall, gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Oh, it's one of the easiest shows to do all year because it's a Monday, a bunch of sports are underway, and we're coming down the home stretch for some others. Now, look, okay, let's get this out of the way first and foremost. It was a rough weekend for the round ball sports. I wish that we were sitting here and talking about a couple wins and, all right, that NCAA tournament resume is looking good. Look, the fact is that the NCAA tournament resume is going to need some help over the next few weeks for both Oregon men's and women's basketball. We're going to talk about that. We're going to break it all down. Don't worry. I'm here for you. But also, I'm going to open today telling you about Oregon baseball going 4-0 against Xavier. How about this? Okay, so hear this for just 1 second. It's crazy. Oregon baseball is undefeated against the Big East Conference. Isn't that crazy? And I know you're thinking like, well, they haven't played a lot of teams from the Big East. Actually, Oregon is 16-0 against Big East teams. It's not like they've played nobody. Yeah, 16-0 against the Big East. I thought that was an oddity. Josiah Cromwell, congratulations. The National Player of the Week, according to Collegiate Baseball today. We'll tell you more about baseball coming up. Softball went 5-0 this weekend as well. Acrobatics and tumbling, a really nice upset win for Taylor Susnara's squad. Oregon lacrosse, men's tennis, women's tennis also in action. Some deadlines are approaching for Oregon volleyball. Yes, Oregon volleyball season tickets are out there right now, and the renewal deadline is 4 days away. I encourage you to get in on the season ticket action. And what else can I tell you? Oh, has anybody ever experienced this? So I had to turn my headphones up really loud today. Now, I'm used to traveling. I'm on planes all the time, and I know that they say it's bad that when you, like, plug your nose and, like, blow your ears out. I know they say that's bad. Why is that bad for you? Is it just because, like, it hurts your ear? I'm honestly asking that question. I need to, like, talk to a doctor about this. I guess I could have asked one of our athletic trainers. They probably would have known, just, like, literally right below my feet. But because we're on the second floor of the Casanova Center, their training facilities on the first floor. But I have not been able to hear out of my left and right ears since we landed yesterday. No, I didn't. So, because I know it's bad, and so I didn't do the, like, plug ear and like, do the thing. But I'll be honest. So I had a hard time. Like, I was trying to do, like, the yawn, the drink some water, you know, all the tricks, and, like, kind of, like, wiggle around your ear, see if it, like, I don't know what it is. Like, I feel like my hearing has dropped by, like, 20%. And it's not because it was loud at Beasley Coliseum. I know that. It's not like we're coming back from Martin Stadium, you know? So I asked this question this morning, like, what do I do? I remember back in the day, it'd be like if you put, like, a little bit of rubbing alcohol in your ear, it would, like, open you up. So, Scott, I'm asking you, as somebody who has been traveling more than me, has been doing this longer than me.
I've never had that issue, though.
Really? Like, you land and you're just like, oh, pressure change is good?
If it doesn't change, I do the plug nose, blow out ears
Okay,
thing.
so you do that.
I do that.
Okay, and you can still hear.
Correct. Well, a little bit, yeah.
No, you have better hearing than most
a
at
lot
your
of years
age.
with an amplifier right here.
I guess. But anyway, the point being that then now I have to tell the rest of the story. So then I was like, well, I'm gonna do the thing. So I did it this morning, and you like hear it, it kind of goes like, kind of like comes out, Didn't change my hearing level. I don't know what's going on, everybody. Like, did I hit 30? Because I just turned 30 almost a month ago.
Everything's falling apart.
Like, what happened? So Alex says, oh, wait, the comment just went away. I saw he commented about it, and so now I need to know, like, I don't think I'm going to, like, blow my eardrums out, but yeah, like, it's crazy. Like, we land back in Eugene, and I'm just like, I don't know. So there's my, what do we call that in late night show? There's my opening monologue that I just have no idea. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, Alex says, as long as you don't force too much pressure or sneeze, you won't have risks of bursting. See, that's what I needed to know. In any case, the trip was it seemed fitting that the reason I bring all this up, it seemed fitting that the trip ends for even the broadcaster with something like that happening. Because Oregon had every opportunity to win that game. Every opportunity to win that game in Pullman. And look, it was a big one. We all knew that it was a big one going into it. The Ducks were comfortably on the bubble. The Ducks were squarely on the bubble. And unfortunately, that bubble, I don't know if it's burst completely for the Ducks, because a lot of teams actually around Oregon have been losing. Like Louisville beating Clemson, for example. That really helps Oregon, Louisville had like 3 wins, and they beat Clemson, a bubble team. So there's still things that can happen down the stretch. But I think it's safe to say that teams like Arizona State and Utah, that you knew that Oregon was above them in the consideration for the bubble, now they might be grouped in with Oregon, sort of the like under consideration. You see what happens over the final 2 weeks of the season heading into the postseason. Too many turnovers for the Ducks. And those are the sorts of things, one of the things I should say, that a good team just can't do. You can't have turnovers like the Ducks did, especially early. Oregon turned it over 10 times in the first half. And I'll be honest with you, when Oregon had a 3-point lead at halftime, it should have been a 13-point lead. The Ducks had allowed Washington State to take 8 more shots than the Ducks had at halftime. Felt like Oregon should have been up a lot bigger than they were. And so there's lessons to be learned in this game, and you're going to hear my conversation with Coach Altman coming up in just a little bit. Why things happen throughout a game, there's always the microscope. We talked about this after the Washington game. There's always a microscope looking at every play when it's a close loss. But certainly the Ducks had some of those moments against Washington and against Washington State on the road. So what does this do for Oregon losing this game? Well, what it does is it puts them at 9-7 in league play. The Ducks are the 6th team in the Pac-12 standings right now. And I could not help but think back to a few years ago when a Peyton Pritchard-led team was still trying to find its stride. They lost in Pullman. Remember that? That team that played in the evening session of every Pac-12 tournament slot that year and then won all 4 games, culminating with a victory over Washington by 20 points in the championship game. That team and this team have so many similarities. That team was the 6th seed. Maybe 6 is the magic number. Maybe the Ducks want to just play in those night games. I don't know. But there are a lot of similarities, not just to the way that those seasons, this one and that year, which was the, what year, Scott? 19? Is that what it was? 18, 19, I think. Is that the year that it was? So there's a lot of similarities in how the schedule unfolded and how the Ducks finished that season and how they seem to be finishing this season. But there's also similarities, I think, in the roster and how it stacks up. For example, That team had some young pieces that really got it going at the end of the year, and also had some veteran pieces that hit big shots for the Ducks down the stretch. Maybe none bigger. The example I'll give you is Ehab Amin. Ehab Amin did not shoot the three well all year long. Suddenly, the last 3 weeks of the season, Ehab Amin shot like 40% from three. He hit that big three that led to an overtime win for Oregon in the semifinals against Arizona State in the Pac-12 tournament that year. Maybe the Ducks need that from a guy like Keyshawn Barthelemy. Barthelemy has been shooting about 35% from three on the season. He ended up scoring 17 points, 7 of 10 from the floor, 2 of 2 from three. And I loved the response from Keyshawn Barthelemy, even in a loss to Washington State, because 2 plays that he made against Washington were put under the microscope. 2 plays that he would be the first to tell you he would like back. A couple of turnovers. Ducks were up 5 in that game against Washington. Those turnovers helped the Huskies get back in it, ultimately force overtime, beat the Ducks by 1 last Wednesday. So if Keyshawn Barthelemy can respond like that, I think it bodes well for the Ducks. And N'Faly Dante had a double-double. Jermaine Couisnard scored 12 points, but he did it on 5 of 14. If he scores 12, I should say, on 5 of 10, I think you feel a lot better about that. And 1 of 6 from 3. So if those numbers get a little more efficient for Jermaine Couisnard, I think it bodes well for the Ducks. All in all, the similarities are there. And maybe none bigger than Peyton Pritchard, who at that time, I think, was coming into his own as the leader of the program. And when the Ducks ended up winning 10 straight, including the Pac-12 tournament and 2 in the NCAA tournament, it took Peyton Pritchard playing really well. Now, Will Richardson's further along in his career. He's that veteran. But is it somebody else that takes that leadership role? Maybe it is Jermaine Couisnard and his ability to get to the basket and take over a game. I don't know the answer to that. But the similarities are there. It's actually a little eerie to think about because I couldn't help but think to myself, man, this loss in Pullman felt a lot like that one 4 years ago. It just felt that way. Like the Ducks had opportunities to win the game, had opportunities to put the Cougars away, and didn't. 3 straight losses, by the way, in Pullman. Hasn't been a good place to go for the Ducks. And it always seems like Oregon plays there on a big weekend. They played their Klay Thompson jersey retirement day. It was senior day for the Cougs this time, and if memory serves, it was senior day for the Cougs when Oregon lost there in 2019. So the point is that there are a number of similarities with these two teams. Now, is this team built to win the Pac-12 tournament? They could. Have to hit some shots, and I think consistency is still what the Ducks are searching for. Here's why I bring that up. So I mentioned the turnovers early. The Ducks should have led by double digits at half. I'll say that again. And you might have taken the energy completely out of the building, and the Cougs are like, especially because early in the second half and really through the midway point of the second half, what was happening in that game? The Ducks needed to get a stop. They never did. Cougs went on a streak there where they made 7 straight field goals. Ducks made 5 straight. They're just trading baskets. Well, if you're up by 10 and you're trading baskets, it's a little different feeling than if it's a one-possession game. I think particularly at home, that gives the home team an advantage if you're the Cougs. So Dane Altman would say, you got to get stops no matter what. You just can't let a team get going like that and trade baskets. He never wants to see that. But that's what was happening. So if Oregon doesn't turn the ball over as much as the Ducks did early in the contest, we're probably having a different conversation. Similarly, the Ducks only turned it over twice in the second half. Twice they turned it over. And that was, again, Washington State's offense has it going. The Ducks also rebounded exceptionally well until they didn't. The key plays down the stretch, and these are similar to the Barthelemy turnovers at Washington that get put under the microscope, right? Back-to-back offensive rebounds, a kick ball that resets the shot clock to 20 seconds. The Cougs had the ball for like a minute of game time. And it just helped them drain that clock out. And then because Washington State had fouls to give, Oregon was inbounding the ball, they'd foul, run a few seconds off. Inbound the ball, foul, run a few seconds off. And that led to a less than ideal final shot for the Ducks. All right. It's back-to-back gutting losses. Back-to-back losses in one-possession games. The Ducks, by the way, are now 3-4 in games decided by 6 points or less, two-possession games. That's a key number for me because those are the games, it's like the one-run baseball game statistic, Those are the games that can flip your season. And unfortunately, Oregon has not won enough of those, and the Ducks are sitting at 15-12 overall, 9-7 in Pac-12 play. Again, they're the 6th seed if the tournament started today. They're behind Utah and Arizona State, who are both 10-7, USC 11-5, Arizona 13-4, UCLA is 14-2. We'll see. Down the stretch, it's going to be interesting. We'll get time out. When we come back, some of the numbers, what it means, net rankings, nitty-gritty report, and then we'll also hear from Dana Altman, some of his thoughts. Because he'll tell you the truth. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota's got 20 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action, and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/22.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Dear winter, Toyota's got 20 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action, and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/22.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container, because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. The Ducks getting ready now to travel to Corvallis for Oregon men's basketball, and a game they got to win for a lot of reasons. But also, you just don't want to lose to the Beavs. You know, rivalry game, all those things. 7 o'clock, 6:30 pregame show on Saturday. The Ducks do have a little extra time now to get ready for the Beavs. So to recap the Washington State game, though, let's hear from Dana Altman. Our post-game conversation brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. Here's Coach Altman. You know, Coach, I know that's a hurt locker room right now. Felt like you had some opportunities in a game that just didn't go your way.
Well, we really did. Start of the second half, we gave up way too many easy shots, and the game kind of flipped on us again. You know, we just stepped off. We did such a good job the first half, you know, contesting shots. We gave them 2 open threes, and they hit both of them, but they were 2 for 11. Second half, they go 7 for 12, and they were all but one was easy looks. Yeah. So complete change there defensively, and in the end, that's what beat us. Turnovers in the first half were bad. We got that straightened out. But start of second half, just defensively, we had some really bad possessions, and they kind of jumped on that. And then down one, and they get 3 shots, 2 offensive rebounds and a kick ball, so they hold the ball way too long there. We only get 1 shot coming down, so just wasn't what we wanted.
I felt like, too, Coach, you mentioned the turnovers in the first half. Felt like you could have been up by more than that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We, like I said, defensively, they shot 29%. We were doing a great job, but they had 8 more shots than we did, and 6 of those points were off transition from bad turnovers. So absolutely, if we'd had 5 turnovers instead of 10 and hit a couple shots, it could have easily been 7-8 points.
Overall rebounded well, but I think those couple that you mentioned, those were the ones you remember.
Really hurt. We out rebound them, but that's because they had more shots than we did, and they get 8 more shots than we did. So that's a problem.
Keyshawn Bartholomew, he hit some big shots for you, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He had a good offensive game. He's been shooting it well. He didn't shoot it well at Washington the other night. We could have had a couple of those, but no, he did some really good things offensively.
Well, some lessons to be learned, and a few extra days now to get ready for the Beavs.
Yep. No, we got to get healthy, rested up, and we got to go to Oregon State, find a way, and then we got 2 at home, and got to finish strong.
Finishing strong is going to be important for the Ducks. And, look, you could hear it in his voice. Like, he knows. And it really was a tale of 2 halves. The defensive energy just shifted. Beavs were 2 of 11. Cougs were 2 of 11. I'm already thinking about Oregon State. I already did my boards for them this morning. Cougs were 2 of 11 from 3 at halftime. That's the second best 3-point shooting team in the country, in the conference, and one of the best in the country in Washington State. They ended up shooting 9 for 23 from 3 in the game. So 2 of 11 at halftime, 7 of 12 from 3 in the second half. Something changed, right? The defense changed. It wasn't just that Washington State hit shots. The defense changed for the Ducks. And I think that's what bothered Coach Altman the most, is that they had so many things going their way at halftime. And then not a lot of things went their way in the second half. So the lesson to be learned. What is the lesson to be learned? I think it's consistency. I think that it's a killer instinct. The Ducks have not performed at their best in some of these crunch time scenarios. Again, 3 and 4 in games decided by 6 points or less. How do you rectify that? You can try and practice to generate, those pressure situations where you have to execute against the press. You have to execute and not turn the ball over and maintain a quality possession, get a quality shot. I do think, though, that some of those lessons are learned when you win one of those games. I go back to that Arizona State win on the road. I thought that was a huge deal for the Ducks. Now, having 2 games on the road not go their way in very similar fashion, those lessons are still needing to be learned. And I think that in both of these situations, they were up 5 at Washington. They were up 3 at halftime at Wazoo. Could have been up by, like I talked about, 13 at Wazoo. I think that's the takeaway here. The consistency with the execution. I feel like that's going to be the biggest thing. And that's easier said than done. There's no doubt about it. But that's what the Ducks are going to need moving forward. Now, a loss on the road, it didn't hurt their net ranking, the Ducks' net ranking, as much as maybe we thought it would. Oregon's still sitting at 49 in the net, but they're 15-13 again, 9-7 in conference action. Now, here's how this could all stack up, all right? Arizona State and Utah. Well, Arizona State's playing at Arizona this weekend. Utah has to play the LA schools. If the Ducks take care of business, let's just hypothetically say this. If the Ducks take care of business against a good schedule down the stretch, which I think factors out well for them. Because, again, Oregon, I think I might have said 9-7 earlier. That's what they were heading into the Washington State game. They're 9-8. That's why they're sitting in 6th place. If you take down Oregon State, who's 4-13 in conference, you take down Cal, who's 2-14 in conference, and Stanford, who's 5-11 in conference, but Stanford's been playing a lot better lately. If you do that, the Ducks would be sitting at 12-8. 12-8 overall in the conference. And maybe they do get a little bit of help. Maybe Utah goes on the road, loses to UCLA, loses to USC. Well, suddenly Oregon could jump Utah. Maybe ASU loses to Arizona. ASU doesn't have any home games left. It's still possible for Oregon to finish in the top 4. And I do think that's a key. I know that I was saying earlier that the Ducks have won 6 games in the Pac-12 tournament before, but I think that having that first-round bye is a huge advantage. And if the Ducks can finish in the top 4, might have a good chance heading to Las Vegas in a few weeks. We'll see what happens. When we come back, Oregon women's basketball, a tough weekend. It was. Going to need to bounce back this week at home, and it's a quicker turnaround for Oregon women's basketball than they're used to. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering to business and social events. Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
To your children's eyes to see the true magic of a forest. It's a storybook world for them. You look and see a tree. They see the wrinkled face of a wizard with arms outstretched to the sky. They see treasure in pebbles. They see a windy path that could lead to adventure. And they see you, their fearless guide through this fascinating world.
Find a forest near you and start exploring at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Well, for women's basketball, so it's interesting. After listening to Terry and watching the game, because it was one of those odd games where men's basketball and women's basketball were actually playing on the same day, right? Because it was a Sunday game for Oregon men's basketball yesterday. So I was kind of thinking as I was going through the game, putting together my notes. Yesterday I thought, well, I'm going to do the same kind of breakdown for the women as the men. Well, the difference, though, is that Kelly Graves made it very easy for us. We're going to hear from him coming up in just a little bit. But on Friday, if you missed it, Ducks fought hard, but they fell in Pullman. And the worst part about that game is that Grace Van Sluten limped off the floor late. And I got to be honest, when I saw that and was listening to Terry, my heart just sank. Because it's like, man, just a team that's nothing's breaking their way, right? Like, sometimes it just happens that way over the course of a season. So then on Sunday, no Grace Van Sluten and a tough loss. It was a big third quarter for the Dogs that really fueled it for them. And I thought that third quarter, it's happened a few times this season where the third quarter's been the difference maker. And the 12-2 run was really impactful in the game. And even in a ball game where Te-Hina Paopao scored her season high in points. She had 22. She was really efficient. 7 of 12 from the floor, 6 of 9 from 3. Philipina Shea had 11 rebounds. But India Rogers, a 10-point performance, and then nobody else was in double figures. Chance Gray and Philipina Shea both had 9. Overall, the Ducks now are 14-13, and they're 5-11 in Pac-12 play. They've played 7 of their last 9 away from Matthew Knight Arena. It'll be nice to be back at MKA on Thursday against Arizona. But saw their season-long losing streak the Ducks did hit 7 games. And each of Oregon's last 12 games have been decided by 10 points or less. They've been there. You know, it's like the Murphy's Law thing. If it can go wrong for the Duck women, it is going wrong. And I think that's kind of how they feel right now, heading into their final regular season weekend. Because remember, the Pac-12 tournament for the women the week before the Pac-12 tournament for the men. So it comes at you quick. And Thursday's game, I think, is going to come quick, too. 7 o'clock, 6:30 pregame show with Terry Johns and Bev Smith when the Ducks host Arizona. But Kelly Graves, look, similar to Coach Altman, he's going to tell you the truth. Brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a Duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. Coach Graves talking with Terry Johns after the tough loss at Washington.
Coach, your kids fought hard. And Tehana Paopao, it was good to see her have a good game.
Yeah, I thought
a loss.
Yeah, I thought, and we still lost. I thought overall we played harder tonight. You know, obviously another third quarter, where we couldn't score. We had a few turnovers, obviously, in that quarter, but, kind of a similar tale, But it was good to see, a couple of positives. It was good to see, Paopao kind of, bounce back. I know she wasn't quite as good in the second half, but it was good to see her bounce back and play well. Philly, I thought, did some really good stuff. We didn't get her, as much in the second half. Part of that was her. I mean, we had a couple at the rim that we've got to, somehow find a way to finish. Again, defensively, I thought we were okay for a good portion of the game. The last, it kind of got away from us there at the end. Those were kind of cheap points at both ends. Actually, we had a couple of cheap threes as well. But, I feel for these guys. We just got to keep finding a way, and keep plugging away. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. I don't think we're doing a bad job as a coaching staff. You've seen us. We prepare well. We haven't prepared any differently than we have in the past. It's the exact same template. Our kids were practicing hard last night. We had a good spirited practice. Their attitudes aren't down or anything like that. It's not like we're going in to the game feeling like, oh, well, what are we doing this for? We're going to lose. I haven't seen any of that from our team. So, we've just got to build on whatever positives. I think, this is probably, we're probably looking at that 8-9 game in the conference tournament if things kind of hold the form this last weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Right. Is that true?
It would be the Huskies.
And it would be the Huskies again. So this is a team that obviously we split with, but we just kind of find a way, it's really funny, and for people watching on TV, we're close on a lot of things. It seems like those loose balls we don't quite get. I think we probably lead the country in last-second shot clock threes. Mm-hmm. It just seems like teams make those baskets. The ball goes off our hand, it goes into theirs at the right time, and they bury it. They take advantage of those. So disappointing. We never want to, obviously lose to the Huskies, but, we've got to pick ourselves back up, find a way.
India hasn't had too many struggle games, but had another one today that she struggled to get to score.
She did. Yep,
it happens.
Did. Well, yeah, it happens, but, it's happening too much for us. We don't have a great, margin for error. We just don't. We have, three bench players now, with Grace out for the foreseeable future. So we can't have too many players that have off nights. We don't have that luxury because it's not like we have a lot coming off the bench that we can put in and rectify it. So, it's asking a lot of these players. I'm proud of them, though. I am. I'm proud of them. I just and I love them, and we're doing the best that we can, and that's all we can do. Mm-hmm. That's all we can do at the end of the day.
One more. Kennedy Basham this weekend has shown some progress, obviously, and look forward to the future with her.
Yeah. We're giving her an opportunity, and she's has shown that with some time, I think she wants it to speed up, but she didn't play as a senior in high school, was out for a good portion of this season, and it's just now kind of getting back into it. So, we can. Like I said, I thought we had some pretty good performances from different players tonight. It just wasn't enough.
All right, heading home Thursday instead of Friday. I don't know why the schedule's changed to Thursday, Saturday, but it is.
Well, I think they do it on the last weekend so everybody gets an extra day because we could play as early as Wednesday, right, in the tournament.
Right.
So I think Sunday, Thursday turnaround's Sunday, Wednesday turnaround is pretty quick. So they do it on Thursday, Saturday that last week so you can kind of get yourself prepared to get to the tournament. We're in a position now at 14-13 where obviously I don't think we're a candidate now for an NCAA tournament unless we make some kind of a. I told you when we had 14 wins a few weeks ago, and we still have 14 wins. That I thought it would take 18, which means we've got to get both this weekend, and then we got to get a couple in the tournament. Right now. Arizona at home is going to be formidable. Well, Arizona State at home is going to be formidable. They're playing better, and then 2 in the tournament would also include, winning in an 8-9 game and then beating the number 1 seed. If we can do that, like I said, then we're going to be in the field because that means we would have taken care of business against Arizona as well. So we're now in a must-win situation for the next, 4 games at least, I think.
All right, Coach. Thanks for the visit. Appreciate
you. All right, buddy.
He summarized it better than I could have. And there you go. Kelly Graves, you heard it from him. So down the stretch, let's see what happens for these 2 Duck basketball teams. And when we come back, a great start to the year for Oregon baseball. And I mean a just great start. Oh, it was great to be back at PK Park. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota's got 20 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action, and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/22.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Dear winter, Toyota's got 20 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action, and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/22.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is an important message from the Mine Safety and Health Administration. Mining fatalities, accidents, and injuries are preventable. Taking a minute to approach your task safely can protect you and your fellow miners from injury and death. Staying alert and focused can keep you safe. Do it safe. Do it right. Whether buckling a seatbelt or securing equipment, these quick safety measures can prevent injuries and fatalities. Take time. Save lives. For more resources, visit MSHA.gov.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Opening weekend for Duck baseball. Well, it started out really, really nice on Friday. Beautiful day at PK Park. 3 o'clock first pitch against Xavier, a team that Oregon had played before. Ducks came from behind and beat them in a regional. Yeah, it's the only time they'd ever played Xavier before. Xavier's no slouch, by the way, out of the Big East. This is a team that may very well win the Big East. They're consistently one of the top 3 in the Big East, along with UConn and Creighton, probably in baseball. I'll tell you, they're a good team. They're a veteran team. Returned 7 of their 9 starters from a year ago. Pretty good, huh? Opening weekend, and on Friday, the Ducks in a good one. Bases are loaded for the Ducks. Nobody out in the 9th. 1-2. Diodati in the air toward left. Could be tough. Schultz giving chase. Center fielder makes the catch. Nishida races in. Ducks win. Diodati with the walk-off sacrifice fly. And it's 3-2 Ducks. Final. Opener Owen finishes it for the Ducks. I called him Opener Owen because in the biggest irony ever, Owen Diodati walked off last year on opening day against Xavier when he was at Alabama. How about that? I mean, that's wild. Like, you just don't see that. So I called him Opener Owen. He also, career-wise, hits 400 on opening day. He had 2 runs batted in for the Ducks on opening day in his debut. Made a diving catch in right field. Owen Diodati certainly made his presence felt in his first game with the Ducks. I thought that was cool. And, you know, the Ducks get into that situation. There's 5 infielders. Xavier had substituted their left fielder for another infielder. That's just what you do, right? It's good baseball. It doesn't matter how you do it. Find a way to win. That's exactly what the Ducks did. Then on Saturday in a doubleheader, Ducks got both. Good pitching, great offense, won the series, and then they went for the sweep on Sunday. And Sunday was a good baseball game. Jackson Pace was excellent in his debut start for the Ducks. Tanner Smith made 2 great defensive plays in the 7th to keep the Ducks within a run. He robbed a grand slam to end the inning. Not bad for Tanner Smith, huh? First pitch of the bottom half of that inning, by the way, Josiah Cromwell hammered a ball over the fence to tie it at 1. The Ducks were down in that game. And it was the 3rd dinger for Josiah Cromwell already on opening weekend. So he's living up to the preseason Pac-12 hype. And then Gavin Grant homered in the 8th to give Oregon a 2-1 lead. And 4 Duck pitchers combined to hold Xavier to just 4 hits. 3-1 win, series sweep for the Ducks over Xavier. More on Pace. He gave Oregon its first official quality start of the season, allowing just 1 run on 4 hits with 4 strikeouts in 6 innings, before fellow freshmen Logan Olson and Dylan McShane tossed 1 scoreless inning. McShane picked up his first career win after fanning 2 in the top of the 8th before giving way to senior closer Josh Molaris, who wrapped up his first save as a Duck. Oregon with a nice series win. Some of the series notes for you. I still am enamored by this. 16-0 against the Big East. Like, you're undefeated against a conference. It's crazy for Duck baseball. They're 5-0 against Xavier all time. Ducks pitching staff finished the series with a 1.32 ERA and held a Xavier team that hit almost 300 last year and hit 100 home runs and, again, returned the vast majority of their team. They held Xavier to a 184 combined batting average. That's a good start for the Duck pitching staff, which we all said was the question mark coming in. A lot of freshmen in big roles for the Ducks, and man, did they live up to the billing. The Ducks also slugged 6 home runs in the series. Cromwell hit half of them. Sabine Ceballos, Drew Cowley, and Gavin Grant all had one. And then Josiah Cromwell led Oregon in hitting, 444. He was 4 for 9. Those 3 home runs, a double, a stolen base, 4 runs scored, 6 runs batted in, a 1.556 slugging percentage, and he reached base at a 500 clip. Josiah Cromwell, Collegiate Baseball National Player of the Week. Congratulations to the Oregon catcher. That was a newcomer, or excuse me, a returner who made a big impact, but newcomers. Junior college transfers Riku Nishida and Sabine Ceballos combined for 7 hits. Ceballos hit 400, 2 for 5 while making 2 starts. Nishida hit 357 with 5 RBI in the leadoff spot and 5 runs scored. He also had 2 stolen bases. Nishida led the Cape Cod over the summer in stolen bases. Now here playing for the Ducks. 16 players made their debuts for the Ducks in the series, with only 5 players starting all 4 games. After leading Oregon to a 4-game series sweep of Xavier, again, Josiah Cromwell, the preseason hype is real, for sure. Mark Wasikowski, he met with the media after Sunday's game. I think a pretty happy head coach for the Ducks. Here's Waz.
Was 4-0 this weekend. You guys know yesterday you said you had a lot to improve on. Just where do you look to improve on from here?
Well, I thought, you're 4-0, so you can't get grumbly about a lot of things, but the things that I think that we can improve upon are You know, we didn't hit this weekend. We slugged and we got enough to win, which was great. We hit in the clutch, which was great. But overall, I thought our approach just needs to get more refined to be able to be more consistent and have a sustained offense, which we didn't have this weekend. So that would be one area to improve on.
A lot of freshman arms this weekend, 3 more today. How important have those guys been this week?
Well, the freshman arms threw very, very well. You know, I mean, it was impressive to watch them. Coach Angier invested the amount of time that he has in those freshman arms, and those guys being able to slow the game down and just execute their pitches. Jackson Pace again today, and McShane as well. I mean, you know, they made it look easy, and it's not easy. And I was very happy and pleased with what we saw this week in pitching-wise for sure.
Pace, I think, had 18 first pitch strikes today. Just how important was that for him to get ahead in the count?
Well, really good. And then the other balls that he had were, you know, he had a lot of ground ball outs, weak contact, and that's what, you know, he's got huge upside. And, you know, you see a lot of, when he's going good, you'll see that in him and a couple of our guys on the weekend.
The team has expressed how they want to kind of develop this postseason mindset, and when you go through 7 innings, a little bit quiet, and then come out in the 8th, in a game that, you know, matters to get the sweep, but realistically you already run the first 3, just how would you grade your improvement at that mindset with the game today?
I don't know about postseason and stuff. We're just trying to take care of today, you know, and we're trying to get better today, and that's our goal. It's not necessarily for whatever, May and June down the road. That's a long ways off, and we're just trying to handle today, and I think we did. We had guys slow it down, saw guys more in control of themselves, which first off, when you're a freshman, you need to control yourself emotionally before you're going to have a good performance. And I think the guys improved as the weekend went, and we're able to slow the game down, and that's why you saw the performances improve. But no, we're just trying to get better today. It's not about tomorrow or anything like that. It's just about one day at a time.
Cromwell had 3 home runs, first 8 at-bats of the season. When he's locked in, just how scary of a hitter is he?
Well, he is, you know, and he was one of the few guys that was locked in this weekend. You know, there was a couple of hitters that did a really nice job, and overall we didn't see a lot of our hitters really, show up with what their abilities are, and so that's one area that we can work with our hitters on. But tremendous ability in this group, and it's been a fun group to work with on a daily basis. These guys show up, and they have great energy, and they're just a ton of fun with a ton of ability as well.
Nick Boyle, Xavier started today. Hadn't thrown at Xavier for 2 years. Just how difficult of a job is it to scout that guy with not a lot of video? You know, the last time he pitched, I think, was high school.
Yeah, high school. And, you know, he was set records in high school with how good he was. His brother was a 5th-round pick out of Notre Dame, throwing 100 miles an hour. You know, I mean, it's in the bloodline. So whatever they're drinking in the Boyle household's got good arms. You know, the kid shows up today on game 4 of a weekend. As a starter, he's throwing 93 to 95 with a really good secondary pitch. I mean, that's not easy, you know, and that kid's got huge upside. He'll be scouted heavily this year and get a chance to go out and play professionally, I'm sure, by the end of it. You know, they had several arms that were really, really good arms this weekend that, you know, we were able to come off of that weekend 4-0. That's a really good weekend for the Ducks.
How about Gavin Grant? He'd been pretty quiet this weekend, but huge home run there to give the Ducks a lead.
Massive, you know, and he's clutch when he needed to be. And so, you know, for Gavin, that was a 2-strike at bat. And so, you know, they'd gotten the better of Gavin on the weekend. He had some hard luck too. He had some line outs, but you know, he finally got one up in the air, and that was a fantastic swing on a ball with 2 strikes.
McShane only goes 1 inning, strikes out 2 guys. Just what did you see from him?
Oh man, he's like 6'14", and he's gangly and loose, and he just has a lot of fun. He's quirky and he's tough to hit. You know, our guys had a tough time hitting against Dylan. Young kid, got a huge upside. Nothing that he comes out of his hand is straight. And so, you know, our hitters had a tough time with him, and if our hitters have a tough time with you, I think you're probably pretty good, and I think he'll be good as time goes. He'll be a key guy in our bullpen.
On Friday, I asked you about Maleres. You said that he was maybe a little nervous, wasn't that sharp. What did you think of him today?
I thought he was okay. I'd say, you know, I mean, I've watched Josh now quite a bit. He's probably about a B today, you know, good enough to get it done. I bet he would probably tell you it was about a B. And that's just because of how good he really is. But he threw his stuff over the plate after that first hitter and was dominant. So, I mean, he's a great pickup for us. He's got a great arm, and he'll help us tremendously, as you saw this weekend.
What went into your decision to start Mason Lytle and Bryce Betcher today?
Because they're good players.
As opposed to maybe Sabine or
yes.
Colby Shade.
Yeah, those guys are good players too. Yeah, so I don't know. It's hard when you got a lot of good players. You know, it's hard to make out a lineup because that means you're going to have good players sitting next to you in the dugout. And you know, we didn't even see Carter Garotti this weekend, or Drew Smith, or Tafton Hensley, who's a draft prospect. And, you know, I mean, these guys, you know, you saw Dominic Hellman for one game, you know. You total up all their signing bonus offers that they had last year, and it's probably in excess of $2 million, and it's sitting on the bench. And that's how good the team is with talent right now, and it's a credit to the assistant coaches' work they've done to be able to collect this kind of talent. And, you know, hopefully we can keep all those guys happy, which is going to be a challenge. But we just got to show them that we love them and keep working with them, and to where those guys, when they get their chance, they go off.
Did you get an explanation of the second inning timeout, non-timeout issue?
Yeah, I didn't care. I just wanted the game to get going. I mean, they want to argue about whatever they want to argue about, let them go. I just told the umpire I really don't care. Just let's start the game back up. You know, they want to take a strike off the board or whatever it was. I didn't care. Let's just play.
Just for clarification, though, was that like the umpire wasn't? I know college baseball is trying not to have too many, called timeouts from the hitter. Was that the case in this moment as well, or was it?
No, I don't know. I think it was something about the pitch clock or whatever. He was inside of 10 seconds. The hitter's supposed to have his head up and eyes on the pitcher, and if not, it's an automatic strike or something like that. You know, every 9-inning game we played this weekend was 2.5 hours. The 7-inning game was 2 hours. We're playing at a quick tempo. Xavier played at a quick tempo. You know, the argument went off. I don't know. I'd rather not go out there and argue about stuff. I'd rather sit in the dugout and let the kids go play.
I love that. I absolutely love that from Mark Wasikowski. And, yeah, they were playing at a quick pace. And it's not like Oregon was winning every game, 3-2. The Ducks were winning games with some runs on the board. You know, I think that what college baseball has done to accelerate the game, I think it's a great thing. And I think that Mark Wasikowski agrees. Certainly, I love that. I know it sounds like we're leaving maybe some nitty-gritty in there from the post-game conversations, but that was so great. When we come back, we're going to hear a little bit more from Duck baseball. Also, everything else that happened over the weekend. Timeout. Back to Duck Insider after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Chris Jakimick, I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA. It is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families. And one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider is presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Josiah Cromwell, going to hear a little bit from him coming up, but your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. Let's talk a little Oregon softball. You know, so much happened this weekend. We're going to cover Oregon softball in a lot more depth tomorrow when we talk with Coach Lombardi. But Friday, Stevie Hansen threw a no-hitter. Allie Bunker blasted 2 home runs. Ducks swept Utah Valley and UC Riverside on Friday. And then on Saturday, Tara McGowan drove in 6 runs. Stevie Hansen was dominant in the circle again. Number 24, Oregon, beat a pair of tournament teams in LMU and San Diego State. And then on Sunday, some familiar names. Tara McGowan and Allie Bunker combined to hit for the cycle in the first 2 innings. And Stevie Hansen came on in relief and shut down UC Riverside, beating the Highlanders 12-5 on Sunday. Ducks went 5-0. Congratulations to Ducks softball. Melissa Lombardi will join us in the studio tomorrow. In a productive day at the Arkansas qualifier, the women of Oregon indoor track and field picked up 2 wins, had 3 top 5 program performances, and they strengthened their national event rankings in the mile and distance medley relay. The Ducks, it's so odd. I feel like every time on a Monday I go through and I do my notes and I think about, okay, this is what's happening in indoor track and field, and it's always like, well, a bunch of Ducks competed. Here are the national times, but now we're waiting for everybody else to compete, and then we get to the national times. It's just, it's just so weird how that schedule. It's not weird for track and field enthusiasts. I understand that, but it's just such a unique sport in that you go compete and then you're kind of waiting until the end of the year to see where your times stack up. It's just amazing. Acrobatics and tumbling, number 5 Ducks, an early season road stretch. They got an upset. Number 3 ranked Azusa Pacific. They beat them for the 2nd year in a row. Congratulations. In the first of 2 matchups between the 2 squads this year, Ducks were able to get the win, and Oregon figuring to be a top 4, top 3 team now ranked in acrobatics and tumbling. Oregon lacrosse did suffer their first loss of the season on Saturday against Niagara, 12-10. Despite 7 Ducks recording a point of the game, the Oregon offense just didn't quite get enough consistency to get the win, so they fell 12-10. Men's tennis lost to Washington and to San Diego this weekend. Women's tennis beat Boise State, but lost to Fresno State this weekend. And that's your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. Cafe Yum restaurants throughout Oregon and Washington. Menus, cafeyum.com. I said we were going to hear from Josiah Cromwell, and then I talked for too long. Sorry, Joe. My bad. I got to say, though, I need to give credit to my broadcast partner. So we have always, for the last year at least, said Crom Bomb. You know, when Josiah Cromwell hits a home run, we call it a Crom Bomb. So Jordan tells me, going into the weekend, he says, hey, I've got a new one for Cromwell. And I go, really? Crom Bomb's not good enough? And he goes, no, just wait for it. So then I'm listening. I was listening to the doubleheader, and Cromwell hits a home run. He says, Josiah Nara. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Some people can't even get 1 nickname for home runs. Josiah Cromwell gets 2. And that's why he's the National Player of the Week. Tomorrow, Ian McFarland is going to join us, Assistant Athletic Director for Creative and Digital Media. Fun conversation coming. See you then.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM.